Hello, good evening, and welcome to another presentation here on XY Spark. A happy new year to you. This is our first Saturday evening in the year 2021, and we are indeed happy that you continue to join us and to participate in our programs. We just want to continue to send a shout out to all those who have seen it fit to be a part of the XY Spark family. We also would like to let you know that we are now available on the Apple podcast. You can look for XY Spark podcast and you'll find us on the Apple. We are also now available on the Google podcast. And all as usual, we continue to broadcast here on the Podbean app. And so, guys, we just want to say that we appreciate you and we thank you again for allowing us to be a part of your life as you continue to hear what we have to say. We also wanted to announce to you that we are planning for this new year to move our Saturday night programs to a Sunday afternoon between the hours of 2:30 and 3:30 p.m., somewhere thereabouts. So we just want to send that out to you between the hours of 2:30 p.m., 2:33 p.m. on a Sunday. We're going to be moving our new live broadcast from a Saturday night to a Sunday afternoon at 2:30 p.m. and that is going to be Mountain Standard Time. If you're living in the Eastern region, it is going to be around about 4:30, and if you're living on the Pacific Time, it's going to be about 1:30 p.m. And so, guys, we hope that you'll put this in your calendars, and we want you to know that we are aiming to bring our live programs on a Sunday afternoon between 2:30 and 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and that will be 5 4:30 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time and 1:30 to 2 p.m. on Pacific Time. And so please mark it in your calendars, and we look forward for your continued support here in 2021. We also invite you to look at the possibility, if you are any way at all able, to become a patron of XY Spark as we continue to promote healthy masculinity. We are also in the process of having some new mercies for XY Spark, and we have some huge plans. We have mercies now in the form of lids, we have them in the form of polo shirts, and we have some special t-shirts that we're going to be having. And the idea is whoever it is that shows interest in our t-shirt, for every purchase, we're going to be donating 15% to a local charity to help to continue to promote healthy masculinity. We have some big things planned for the new year, and we hope that you come on board and join us as we continue to explore reaching more and more men in our community. Tonight is no exception. We have a special presentation lined up for you. And so we just want to say to you, don't go away, stay tuned, and we will be right back after this short intro.
Grief and loss, trauma, mental health, alcohol and drug use, gender roles, anger management, self-esteem, sexual abuse, domestic violence, and the pressures of societal norms are real-life issues that affect men. Join Rolando, psychotherapist, author, life coach, and motivational speaker that has dedicated his profession to working with men to find a healthier alternative to cope and handle these stressors. Rolando believes that men are lacking in social, psychological, emotional, and spiritual support that is necessary for a lifestyle that promotes healthy masculinity. We invite you to join us on XY Spark, where we discuss issues that men face. At XY Spark, we believe the key for happier families is restoring healthy masculinity.
Thank you for staying with us. And once again, this is your host, Rolando. Just wanted to have a presentation with you this evening. Our presentation this evening is entitled Understanding the Laws of Consistency. Understanding the Laws of Consistency. And one of my main reasons for seeking for us to go down this direction at XY Spark, we promote personal development. And this evening, we're continuing our presentation. We will be looking at the understanding the laws of consistency from this beautiful book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Health, which is written by one of the gurus out there, John C. Maxwell. And so we'll be sharing some thoughts from this evening, and we'll be seeking to expand on some of those thoughts just to evoke conversation and dialogue with you. And so please stay tuned as we go through our presentation. So we want to start off tonight by looking at this, and we start off by exploring this this thought. The thought here is motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing. Motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing. What do you think about that? Does that make sense to you? Do you think that that's a fact? Or is this something that is open for conversation? Motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing. What is the connection between these two? What do you think the author is trying to get through to us here? What's the rationale? Is it that if we are not motivated, we will not grow? What do you think? And so this evening, as we look at understanding the laws of consistency, I look forward to your feedback. If you have any questions, if you want us to have a conversation, feel free to call in and we can have dialogue about what really is going on here. And so it says here that we must believe we must believe in ourselves. We must seek to harbor some motivation. We must seek to set some goals for ourselves and try to see how we can grow. It says motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. That's the law of consistency. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how many opportunities you receive. If you want to grow, consistency is key. All of us need to capture the value of being consistent. All of us need to recognize that if I'm going to grow and if I'm going to get to my goal, I have to be consistent. And so the question here is how to grow in consistency. How to grow in consistency. If you want to become more disciplined and consistent in your performance, you need to become more disciplined and consistent in your growth. How can you do that? By knowing the what, how, why, and when of personal improvement. It says take some time to consider four questions about growth. So, what John C. Maxwell is appealing to us here to do is to take some time to consider four valuable things, valuable questions about growth. First question he wants us to consider is this: do you know what you need to improve? Do you know what you need to improve? It's one thing for me to say I know. It's one thing for me to say I want to improve. It's a total different thing for me to say, what do I want to improve on? Do I want to improve on my attitude? Do I want to improve on my outlook? Do I want to improve on the way I perceive myself? Do I want to improve on the way I relate to others around me? Do I want to improve on just my basic approach to different circumstances? So if I am going to grow, I need to know what I need to improve on. You've got to get up every morning with determination if you're going to go to bed with satisfaction. I really like that. So you've got to get up out of bed every morning with determination if you're going to go to bed with satisfaction. I love this because it is saying to me that Rolando, if you're going to lay down to bed at night feeling satisfied about what happened during the day, you have to start your day determined to make something happen. It's like this is what I'm capturing from this. Reality is, if I want to achieve something, and if I want to make it through my day, and if I want to end my day in a celebratory note, or rather, I've got to get up out of bed and I've got to be saying to myself, today is the day that I'm going to make change. Today is the day that I'm going to ride over obstacles. Today is the day when I'm going to start believing in myself again. Today is the day when I'm going to take on that task that I was running away from all my life. Today is the day when I'm going to be more assertive. Today is the day when I'm going to be more positive. Today is the day when I'm going to be more optimistic. Today is the day when I'm going to be more collaborative. Today is the day when I'm going to get up and take a deep, relaxing breath and say to myself, today is going to be my turning point. And so I just love this, because this is saying that if each day I get up with that drive, that inner motivation, that empowered attitude, I can go to bed at night feeling satisfied, feeling comforted that I did the best that I could do. And so I love this. Where it says you've got to get up every morning with determination if you're going to go to bed with satisfaction. So we want to find ways that we are going to initiate that. E.M. Gray, he said this. He said, the successful person has the habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. The successful person doesn't like doing them either, but his dislike is subordinated to the strength of his purpose. The more tuned in you are to your purpose, and the more dedicated you are to growing toward it, the better your chances of reaching your potential, expanding your possibilities, and doing something significant. Wow. Let me read it again. Let me read it again for you in case you missed it. Let me read it again for you in case you missed it. E.M. Gray, this is what he said. The successful person has the habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. The successful person doesn't, the successful person doesn't like doing them either, but his dislike is subordinated to the strength of his purpose. The more tuned in you are to your purpose, and the more dedicated you are to growing toward it, the better your chances of reaching your potential, expanding your possibilities, and doing something significant. And so I'm saying this, and I love this, because if I were to stretch this out a little bit, I'm hearing that the author here is saying, listen to me. Anything that you want to do, you can do it if you're determined enough. If you want to stay in recovery, you're going to be able to do it if you are determined enough. If you want to change some lifestyle habits that have been keeping you in quote unquote exile, you can do it. If you want to change your life, if you want things to take a different turn, you can do it through determination. So you and I can do it through a determined, dedicated effort if we just continue to grow toward it. The better your chances of reaching your potential, expanding your possibilities, and doing something significant. I'm saying to you, if you are listening to this podcast this evening, you can do something significant. Look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I can do something significant. Look at your friend, look at someone who may be listening with you and say, hey, guess what? You can do something significant. I can do something significant. We are going to do something significant. Let's get this started. Isn't that powerful? That's powerful. I really love that. And so this is reiterating big point number one, which is, do you know what you need to improve and growing? Big point number two, do you know how you are supposed to improve? The question of how to improve is one of the main reasons the author is saying why they started to work hard on changing from being a motivational to becoming a motivational teacher. So you see that shift. I don't want to be a speaker, I want to be a teacher. We want to recognize that within you, there's this seed, there's this determination, there is this possibility that's waiting, just waiting on you to access and open up so that it can get going. There are endless possibilities just waiting for you, just waiting for me to tap into it. And I'm saying that in the end, we have got to start believing more in ourselves. We've got to start believing more in possibilities. We've got to start believing more in the fact that if it's possible, I can do it and I can make it happen. So we want to ask ourselves, do you know how you're supposed to improve? It says match your motivation to your personality type. Match your motivation to your personality type. It says not everyone gets motivated the same way or is motivated by the same things. To give yourself a fighting chance to become consistent in your growth, start by leveraging your personality type to get yourself going. So, what's your personality type? You may see someone else doing some things. Don't say to yourself, I wish I could do the way that that person is doing it. But say to yourself, how do I do it? How do I fight in my own armor? Okay, how do I grow and fight in my own armor? So we want to match that with our personality type. It says that there are several different personality types. Okay, there are several different personality types. There are some persons who um, they are very phlegmatic. They're phlegmatic. Okay, the strength of people with this personality is that they are easygoing and likable. Okay, very easygoing, very likable. Okay, their weakness is inertia. If you are phlegmatic, how can you motivate yourself? You motivate yourself by finding the value in what you need to do. So that's personality number one. The second personality is there are cholerics. Okay, the strength of people with this personality type is that they take charge easily and make decisions quickly. Those are the cholerics. Very, very quick decision makers. Their weakness is that if they are not in charge, they refuse to participate. So they want to be the leader in everything. They want to take it over and make sure that hey, it's all me. Then we have the sanguine. They are often the life of every party. Their weakness is often lack of focus. If you're sanguine, how can you motivate yourself to grow? By making a game of it. If that isn't possible, then give yourself rewards for incremental successes. So that's how you make it successful if you are sanguine. And then there is the melancholic personality. The melancholic personality. And these are lives perfectionists. Attention to detail is their strength. But because they desire to do everything perfectly, they are afraid of making mistakes. If you are melancholic, how do you motivate yourself beyond that fear? You do that by focusing on the joy of learning details and the potential for developing a level of mastery over your subject matter. So, these are the four personality types. Which one are you? Which one can you relate to? And did you hear the solutions? Let me read those again in case you missed it. So there's a phlegmatic personality, and the phlegmatic, their strength is that they are easygoing and likable. Their weakness, however, is inertia. If you're phlegmatic, how can how can you motivate yourself? You do that by finding the value in what you need to do. It says when phlegmatics see the value in doing something, they can be one of the most tenacious, meaning stubborn, of all personality types. So if you are that person, you need to look at that. At the opposite end of the personality spectrum for phlegmatics, you have the cholerics. And we say the cholerics are those who, and cholerics, CHOLERICS. The strength of people in this personality type is that they take charge easily and make decisions quickly. Their weakness is that if they're not in charge, no, that's a cholerics, they refuse to participate. If you are choleric, how can you tap into internal motivation? By focusing on the choice you can make. Every person is in charge of his own growth. Choose how you will grow and stick with it. That's for the cholerics. Then you have the sanguine personality, and they're often the life of every party. Their weakness is often lack of focus. They are often they if you're sanguine, how can you motivate yourself to grow? You do that by making a game of it. If that seems impossible, then give yourself rewards for incremental successes. And then we have the melancholic. And these are life's perfectionists. These are people who they pay attention to detail. Paying attention to detail is their strength. But because they desire to do everything perfectly, they're afraid of making mistakes. If you are melancholic, how do you motivate yourself beyond that fear? By focusing on the joy of learning details and the potential for developing a level of mastery over your subject matter. And that is if you are melancholic personality. And so what it's saying here is we should start with simple stuff. Start with simple stuff. With a number, one mistake a first time gardeners is asking here, okay, what is the number one mistake of first time gardeners? And he reiterated some of the things that they do. Okay, it says that the same as that of many people who approach personal growth for the first time attempting too much. So we don't want to try to do too much. Pace yourself, pick your battle, and keep growing. It's important to remember that small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. Did you get that? It says small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. So we want to recognize that we need to be patient. We need to be patient. Patience, one guy says, it's a virtue, it's a gift. It says, have patience. All things are difficult before they become easy. Isn't that interesting? Have patience. It says patience, having patience. All things are difficult before they become easy. We want to nurture and practice how we're going to be patient as we go, as we grow. Okay? It says here that most people never realize how close they are to achieving significant things because they give up too soon. Can you relate to that? If you are working on a project right now, I want to encourage you. It may look like it's not going anywhere, but don't give up. Hang in there. Keep chipping away at it. It might not be moving at the pace in your mind it should be moving at, but if it's moving, it means that you're not stagnant. And even if it appears like it's not moving, you have got to keep chipping away at it unless you've lost sight of what your vision and what your dream is. But once you still have the dream and you still have that vision, then you've got to reignite that determination and keep going. It says we should value the process. Value the process. That process. It says one of the best things you can do for yourself as a learner is to cultivate the ability to value and enjoy the process of growth. Growth is a process. Believe it or not, it's a process. And it is going to take a long time. So you might as well enjoy the journey. Yes, growth definitely is going to take some time. And so if you are someone who believes that growth should be something overnight, I'm going to tell you, you've got to lose that idea. Growth is not, I'm going to say this, we've got to lose the fast food mentality. We've got to lose the fast food mentality. Many of us want to grow, but we have a fast food mentality. And let me tell you what I mean. We believe that growth should be something like a fast food. We go to a drive through, we order at one window, we pick it up at the next window, and we're done. No, that's not realistic. So if you really are serious about growth, you've got to realize that there's got to be determination and you've got to lose the fast food mentality and recognize that this is actually a main course. This is a main course journey. We have got to lose the fast food mentality and get in the saddle and recognize that I've got to stick to this thing and I've got to keep going because I know myself and I understand myself and I know that whatever it is that I want to get see happen, I've got to make it happen over time. It's not fast food, guys. It's a main course. Big point number three, as it relates to understanding the laws of consistency, is do you know why you want to keep improving? We've got to remember this. Life is not static, it's dynamic. And oftentimes, I believe as men, we tend to limit ourselves too much. We tend to get comfortable in one position. We are not challenging ourselves to look beyond where we're at and to see if there are other possibilities. It's like I say this, why settle for a BMW when you can get a private jet? Why not see yourself beyond where you're at? Why not recognize that growth should be consistent and persistent? And we should just keep chipping away at it even when it appears like it's not moving. So, do you know why you want to keep improving? Knowing what to improve and how to improve are critical to consistency in personal growth. But so is knowing why. So, why do I want to grow? The how and what will take you only so far. So, how and what? The why is what keeps you motivated long after your first rush of energy and enthusiasm wears off. Because, yes, that's going to happen, but we have got to keep working at it. We've got to keep going. Remember, here are some important questions that we need to ask. The why test. Here's the why test. And it says your answers to the following 7 questions. We let you know if your why is solid enough to motivate you to consistently grow. So I want you to catch these questions now, guys. I want you to catch these 7 questions, and I'm going to read them slowly. And if you're listening and you did not catch it and you want me to repeat, just put type something in the message box and I'll repeat. Big question number one. Big question number one is, do you constantly procrastinate on important tasks? Do you constantly procrastinate on important tasks? And if you are, why? And so I want you to reflect on that. Big question number two. Do you require coaxing to do small chores? So if you have small things to do you require coaxing for small chores? Big question number three. Do you perform duties just to get by? So do you perform duties just to get by? Or do you perform those duties because, hey, you know what? This is a next step in the right direction. So do you perform duties just to get by? Big question number four. Do you constantly talk negatively about your work? Can you relate to that? Do you constantly talk negatively about your work? Big question number five. Do efforts of friends to encourage you irritate you instead? Do efforts of friends to encourage you irritate you instead? Question number six. Do you start small projects and abandon them? Big question number seven. Do you avoid self-improvement opportunities? These questions are so sharp and potent because if depending on how you respond to these questions, I would say it's time now for us to go back to the drawing board, because if we are going to be consistent and if we're going to continue to improve, we need to catch ourselves and ask ourselves, am I doing these things the wrong way? Once you learn, and listen to this, guys, this is a very, very thought-provoking piece. It says here, once you learn to quit, it becomes a habit. Once you learn to quit, it becomes a habit. I heard this definition of failure once. It says failure is refusal to keep trying. So failure is refusal to keep trying. So are you that person who have developed the habit of quitting, who have developed the habit of complaining? The author says here, if you answer yes to many of these questions, you haven't tapped into a strong enough or big enough why to keep you growing. Isn't that interesting? So if we are serious about personal growth, and at XY Spark, we continue to encourage men to become the best version of themselves. And at XY Spark, if you have not yet tapped into this, I would say, don't you think that it's about time for you to start doing that? To tap into those natural resources and start growing. You know, we have to get to that place in our lives where we start recognizing that it's time for me now to move out of this realm of self-doubt and negativity and blaming and move into another realm. It says you have to give yourself more and bigger whys so you can keep wanting in to put in the effort to grow. So in other words, it's saying you have got to give yourself some bigger why. Okay, why do I need to do this? Why is this important? Why is this task that I have ahead of me? Why do I need to push myself in this direction? Why is this thing critical? And asking the bigger whys so you can keep wanting to put in the effort to grow. So if your whys are lame and sort of what they say wishy-washy, if your why is just like then we have got to find some bigger whys. Does that sound fair, guys? How do you feel about that? So we want to get some bigger whys to these questions, and that is going to catapult us now into a new realm as we move from where we are to where we're supposed to be. So we want to capture that why and make it bigger. It talks about the legendary NFL coach Vince Lombardi said, once you learn to quit, it becomes a habit. If giving up has become a habit for you, if giving up has become a habit for you, then I suggest you take the advice of Darren Hardy, who says that he said this. Let me tell you what he says here. He says the compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. What's most interesting, he says here, about this process is that even though the results are massive, the steps in the moment don't feel significant. But then it says whether you're using this strategy for improving your health, relationships, finances, or anything else for that matter, the changes are subtle. They're almost imperceptible. These small changes offer little or no immediate result, no big win, no obvious I told you so payoff, so why bother? So, in the end, whatever it is that we are doing for self improvement, even if it appears as though nothing is happening, we have got to wrap our heads around the reality that this goal that I'm working on, it is helping me to become the best version of me. We're talking about the laws of consistency and the values of that. Big point number 4 in our presentation this evening is this. Do you know when you are supposed to improve? I personally had to pause and reflect on this question. Do I know when to improve? Am I improving? You know, one of the important pieces and why this question here has evoked a little challenge for me is I've never thought of this before. And I've not really sat down and thought about, okay, do I need to improve? Because sometimes reality is we're not even recognizing that something needs to change. You know, I heard one of my professors said some time ago that the greatest room is the room for improvement. So, are you a person who is cognizant that every single day I should be asking myself the question, how am I going to be the best version of myself today? What are those things that I need to do that's going to help me to grow and to become more and more and more empowered as a human being in society? It says the final piece of the puzzle in the question is the question of when. When do you need to improve? First, the obvious answer is what? Right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not something that we need to put off. It's not something that we need to second guess ourselves about. We have got to say, hey, when do I need to improve? I need to improve today. It's important that I do something different today. I need to improve in my psychological health, in my emotional health, in my physical health, in my spiritual health. I need to improve in the way I've been spending my finances. I need to improve the way I relate or way I communicate in my relationship. I need to improve my relationship with my kids or my co-workers or my neighbors. I need to improve now. I need to grow. I need to open myself up to new possibilities. I need to become more and more empowered and more strengthened from within. And sometimes I find that as men, we're seeking to find fulfillment everywhere else outside of ourselves. And this pandemic, I think, has challenged many of us as men to reconnect with ourselves and find value and purpose within ourselves so that we can have a more stable foundation. And that's something that many of us have been missing, finding that value within ourselves so that we can grow. And so, you know what? We are just excited for all of the listeners that continues. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write your question there in the question box. I want to send a huge shout out to all of those who are listening to our podcast, and that we appreciate you wherever you're hailing from, wherever you've joined us from. We appreciate you and we thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation this evening. And so it says here that you or me will never change your life until you change something you do daily. And I wonder what that is. We'll never change our life until we change something that we do daily. That means we have to start developing great habits. We've got to start developing better habits. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. And that bridge must be crossed every single day. So if you're not disciplined, if I'm not disciplined, how are we going to reach our true potential? We're talking about growth here in personal development. And sometimes we are our worst enemies. Sometimes we are our worst enemies because sometimes we end up fighting against ourselves. We end up being our own challenging we challenge ourselves a lot. We set up barriers for ourselves psychologically. Sometimes we set barriers because we are distracted. We're focusing on all the wrong things and blaming all the wrong people and looking in all the wrong direction when we need to start looking within. We need to start asking ourselves, what am I doing or what should I be doing differently? Here's the big question. The big question is this: what are some of the things that I'm doing right now that's within my control that's not working and needs to change? Let me say that again for you in case you missed it. What am I doing right now in my life that's within my control that's not working and needs to change? And that is how we're going to cross over if every day we develop that discipline. What are you doing daily that needs to change? What needs doing? Maybe more importantly, what needs undoing? So, what needs undoing? Advice columnist said this once. It says, a habit never goes away by itself. It always, it's always an undoing. Undo it yourself project. So you and I, we know what those bad habits are that we have. We have got to just stop it. You've got to go home and look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, it's time for me to stop it because it is destroying my life. Whatever it is that you're doing, you have got to take the initiative to stop it so that you can grow, so that you can become better at who you are, better at what you are doing, so that you can improve overall and become new in your experience. Remember, that is important, that if you or I are going to grow and if we're going to reach our true potential, the main piece that I want us to take away from the presentation this evening is this: motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing. Motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you growing. I'm really appreciative that you decided to join us here on XY Spark tonight. We want to let you know that coming up in the near future, we're planning to have our programs. We're planning to have more live presentations on Sunday afternoon. We're trying to move our podcast to Sunday afternoons at 3 p.m., between 2:30 and 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you are in the Pacific region, it's going to be between 1:30 and 2 p.m. If you're in the Eastern region, it's going to be between 4:30 and 5 p.m. But we're seeking to bring our live on a Sunday afternoon to see if we have more persons who are participating. Our Wednesday evenings will continue to be 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. On a Wednesday evening, we continue to bring you presentations like these. And if you are in the Pacific region, it's 8 p.m. If you're in the Eastern region, it's going to be it's going to be at 11 p.m. But we just want to say to you that we appreciate you. Please continue to join us here in XY Spark. If you're also interested in getting some merch from XY Spark, we have special lids, baseball lids. We have polo shirts that we're also offering now. And we have some special t-shirts as well that we have created. And these t-shirts, we're going to be sending them out in the community, and for every purchase of those t-shirts, we are going to be donating 15% of that to a charity to help to continue to promote healthy masculinity. Guys, we appreciate you. We thank you for supporting us. Please join us again here on XY Spark this coming this coming Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, we'll be back on the air. This coming Sunday, as a matter of fact, we're going to start our live, not Sunday, not tomorrow Sunday, but the following week Sunday. We'll be on the air live at 3 p.m. In the afternoon. But join us again this coming Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we have another presentation. We'll continue to talk with you about understanding the laws of consistency and some of those key nuggets that we need to have. If you want to reach us, you can email us at hyman@xyspark.info. That's hyman@xyspark.info. And any questions that you have, you can just reach out to us. You can email us, and we will be more than willing to respond to you via email. And you can check out our website, contact xyspark.com, and you'll see all the other things that we're offering. We continue to solicit your support. If you want to become a patron of XY Spark, you're more than welcome to join the group here and become a patron of XY Spark as we continue to share and promote healthy masculinity. As usual, guys, we thank you. We want to say Happy New Year to you again. We look forward to having you join us again. And we just want to say to you guys, have a great evening, and we will talk to you again real soon. This is Rolando. Peace out, guys.
Please join Rolando next time on XY Spark as he engages us in practical discussions that promotes healthy masculinity and challenge men to live extraordinary lives. At XY Spark, we believe the key for happier families is restoring healthy masculinity.